What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my one woman show. If you didn't already know, my name is Latrice Monet, and I am here to give y'all my review of the Cowboy Carter album. So, if you saw me on TikTok or Instagram and saw the little teaser that I put out, honey, I am going to get into it with this video. And of course, I got my girl DW. When I get other hats, I may or may not name them, but this is her, just in case y'all didn't know already. So yeah, so let's get into the album. I have my notes in front of me so that we could be as thorough as possible. I'm not gonna go through every song, but just really wanted to give my high level thoughts about the album, and I'm really excited to share this with y'all. So, okay, I would say number one, this is arguably one of the most vulnerable albums that I feel like Beyoncé has done. And I mean, aside from Lemonade, but even to me, Lemonade was still a little bit cryptic in terms of what things meant. And there was so many different people on the blogs ooh, she meant this with that. But I feel like with this album, with Cowboy Carter, she was very forthright in terms of telling you how she feels, what she's thinking, things that she hears that people are telling you or saying about her, and how she's still choosing to live her life anyway. And I think too, it's regardless of how much money you have and how successful you are, people are still gonna be talking about you. They're gonna have something to say about what it is that you have going on, what you're doing, their thoughts about what you're doing. And I think that's even more reason why why it's important to live your life, because it doesn't matter. Yes, and I say this always, yes, you want to make sure that when you're living your life, you're not harming others and all this other stuff. But her doing a country album, I don't feel is harming anyone. Some people might argue that it's harming country, but at the same time, it's there are so many different ways to express. There are so many different ways to express musically, and to express genres musically. And I think that music has transformed so much over time that it would be crazy to think that the first R&B song that came out, it's this exact same sound of R&B today, because there's so much different cultural influences that go into it, or into music in general, that it's natural that things are going to shift over time, because ultimately life is change, right? So I wanted to put that out. And then also I would say that if it's I think it's interesting, people naturally have preconceived notions and judgments and stuff like that, but I really think that if you're interested, or maybe if you have an idea of what you may or may not like, just give it a try. Give the album a fair listen, like you were listening to, I don't know, any other album for the first time, and just see if you like it. And if you don't like it, then I think then you can go from there. But if you do like it, then you be oh, okay, Latrice put me on, right? Or one of my other friends put me on who told me about the album. And I think that could be, just something to kind of lean into, a little bit of trying something new. So, okay, yes, I wanted to give those open-ended, or opening remarks rather. And so now we can get into the different songs. So I really felt the way that she opened the album was really dope, in terms of it being, it almost, and I was talking to my friend Amanda, if y'all watched or Lauren, if you watched our friend video that's on my channel, I was talking to her about her thoughts on the album, and she was like, I feel like we got a new national anthem, which I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know if they will offer her to come back to the Super Bowl, but anyway, I could definitely see her performing that at the Super Bowl. It would probably upset some people. naturally, but I think it could be really cool. And I really liked how in that first song she said, you know, it's time to face the wind and farewell to fair weather friends, because I think we're in a time in our life and in our just our time on this planet where it really is time to stand up and do something about what it is that we believe is true in our hearts and our purpose, and to be in alignment. And everybody can't go with you on your journey. And I think that's definitely something that I've learned over the past couple years, especially like, you know, the people that you might have wanted to be with you or that you thought held a certain space in your life, but again, life has changed, right? So things shift and change, and that includes friends and maybe even some family. And it's hurtful and it hurts, but it's a part of life. So I really like that first opening. Blackbird, we are waiting for this moment to arise. Same thing. I feel like she did a really good job in terms of like this continuous thread of standing up. And I think it just plays into like how she's not letting nobody tell her what it is that she can and she cannot do. She's standing, you know, this was her time to rise. I think that because she, and you know, it's interesting, like I'm having multiple thoughts here at the same time. I think it's interesting because she allowed the frustration in that incident that she referenced where people weren't welcoming to her as fuel. And I think that that is one of the best ways to alchemize like upsetting emotions or situations that happen, is to use them as fuel that's going to push you towards something better, something greater. Because not everybody is going to understand you and what you're doing at the time. Again, like, you know, as long as you're not hurting anybody, everybody's not going to understand the message that God has put in your heart or what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But as long as you are staying within alignment, then it's literally going to be up from there, right? So I thought that was really, really cool. Her features, Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, like they're OGs within the country space, and I thought it was like genius, of course, for her to get to get them on the album, as well as some of the newer singers like Tanner Adele and Raina. I forget her last name, but she's also a younger country singer, and Shabuzi. I think that she did a really good job in terms of having people who are welcome into her, and she also respects their talent, like incorporating them into the album. And the one song that she had, well, she has two songs with Shabuzi. The one, Spaghetti, I really thought that I could see Fat and Toby, all artists also, they're married. I don't know if y'all know them, but they're also from Houston. I could see them being like on the remix, or even if she does her show in Houston, like them coming out. Like I could just see this whole thing. I could also see, this is kind of getting into prediction land, I could also see how if she were to do that song, the girls would come out voguing at the beginning of that song, because it's definitely like has that energy, high energy, maybe even some crumping. Like I can definitely see it in my mind's eye. So if I'm right, y'all, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm definitely gonna be having my tickets for the show, hat and all. So yeah, anyway, and as far as the features as well, I really wasn't expecting Miley Cyrus, and on the Two Most Wanted, I wasn't expecting her, but I thought that it was a nice addition to the album, especially since, like, you know, we've all like seen and heard about the things that were going on with Miley Cyrus, and you know, I feel like this was kind of like a rebranding of sorts for her, and I think that we could actually see and hear her talent come through. I mean, she's had a few, I don't know if that was an album that she put out, but she's had other songs more recently that speak to her talent and is her, like, I think truly stepping into her authentic self. But I thought it was really dope for her to get on the album as well, and for them to have that duet together. It was very cute. What else? Oh, Daughter. I felt like that was like a Latin opera ballad full of warnings. I'm really interested to see like what the imagery is gonna be for this album. If she put something out, I would love it if she did, because there was so much in there just baked in that I feel like she could transport you and then bring you back. It was really dope just listening to it. I've listened to it several times at this point. And each time I feel like I dive a bit more into it. And I think that that's just because I love music, and I think that's just a part of who I am. But yes. So what else that I want to say? I think that Yaya, she channeled like a little bit of Tina Turner, Shaka Khan, the way she was giving the energy, especially from that time. And it's, I think just overall, and where is my note on this? I think overall it's like the way that she blended sounds, like current sounds, traditional country sounds. Like, I completely agree with her when she said that it was a Beyoncé album. It's not like your standard country album. And at the same time, it's even hard to say what's standard now, because it's like there's so many new artists who are great, and even from the more senior ones doing things a little bit different. Like just even them being on her album, for instance, I think is it's really interesting. So I've probably said it's interesting like 100 times by now, but that just goes to show like how much I really found this album to be a work of art. And I think that I would give it a chance if I were you. And I think that's a part of life, just giving things a chance, being open, trying something different that's outside of what you might ordinarily expect. So that's my spiel. I think that, yeah, like if you listen to it, come back and let me know. I definitely love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my breakdown with the album. If there were details that you are curious about my thoughts in terms of musically, how I interpreted it or what have you, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And I'll definitely talk to y'all later. All right, bye. Oh my gosh, one last thing. I almost forgot to tell you guys what this album actually means to me. So, and I actually had somebody ask me on the phone recently. They were like, oh, how do you feel now that Beyonce has released her album? And to me, it's literally just confirmation. The fact that I have had this idea since 2021, y'all. I left my job to go after this. Of course, I had, my work in between then and now in terms of like reselling and doing the styling. And, now I'm also modeling. Like, of course, those things, were a part of my journey. But doing these cowboy boots and going against the grain about what people believe and think that country western is, like that's exactly what I got into this space to do. And I'm still learning and I'm growing in the process, but I'm so very much excited. And I definitely feel like, again, like it's confirmation for me in terms of how much it's going to improve my life, and preferably, improve and help others. Because, similar to Beyonce having this experience where she didn't feel welcomed, like I have gone in stores and not felt welcome when I'm trying to buy, Western attire. And it's like, it's crazy to me at this point in life to where people, will look at you and be like, okay, well, what are you doing in here? Because, the normal aesthetic of country or country western is European centric. But the reality is that there are so many people of color who work on the farms, in the fields, ride horses, ride cowboys. Well, ride horses, you know, and do all of the things. And it really, what it comes down to is just how that the media has whitewashed the people of color out of the picture. And that goes back to Hollywood, you know, decades ago when they first started doing the westerns. So yeah, there were people of color within westerns, but they were definitely not as popular as the one that became part of mainstream media. So I'm really happy about Beyonce's album and what she's doing to push our culture forward and to show that we are here. And we also have interest in nature, in horses and trees and grass and all the things, and banjos, you know. So I'm super excited. Stick with me on this journey. It's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you so much if you've been here so far. All right, y'all. This is Bye For Real.